Good morning and welcome to another episode of Live Without Limits. Transform your thinking to redesign your life. I'm your host, Davida Shensky, and today we're diving into the most powerful yet often misunderstood part of being human, why we forget. Have you ever found yourself searching for your keys, forgetting someone's name, or losing track of a memory that you swore you'd never forget? Forgetting can fuel frustrating, and sometimes even frightening. But what if I told you that forgetting isn't always a bad thing? In fact, it can protect us, help us grow, and keep life manageable. We often explore why we forget, how it can help us, and when forgetting may be a sign of something deeper. So let's get curious. Simply because it's up to us to decide whether we're just forgetting or it's become something more. Forgetting is simply the inability to recall information and was previously stored in the brain. Now, most people think forgetfulness means something is wrong, but memory isn't a perfect recording device. It's a living, changing system. Memories are created in three stages. Number one is encoding, taking in information. Number two, storage, holding it over time. And three is retrieval, accessing it when needed. And there's two other parts to the brain. There's the short-term memory and the long-term memory. And what you take in is in your short-term memory. It has to move from short-term memory into long-term memory in order for it to stay there. If any of these steps is disrupted, we forget. Forgetting is not a multifunction. It's actually a feature of how our minds work. Our brains filter what's useful so we don't drown in irrelevant details. Think about it. Do you remember what you had last Tuesday or ate last Tuesday? Probably not, because your brain decided it didn't matter and let it go. That's not failure. That's healthy efficiency. Forgetting is a feature, not a malfunction. You know, a lot of us grow up believing that forgetting is a bad thing, that it means our brains are slowing down, failing, or working against us. But here's the truth: forgetting isn't a malfunction, it's actually a built in design feature of the human mind. Our brains are constantly absorbing information every second. What we see, what we hear, background conversations, smells, emotions, thoughts, decisions. If we remembered all of it, we would be completely overwhelmed. There are simply wouldn't be enough mental space to think clearly, problem solve, or be present. So the brain does something incredibly intelligent. It filters. It keeps what's useful and lets the rest fade away. This isn't carelessness, it's efficiency. It's how we stay functional. We like to imagine our memory is a camera that records everything, but it's actually a filtering system designed to decide what's important enough to hold on to. Think about it. You don't remember every person you walked past in the grocery store, or even sound you heard yesterday, or every ad that you've ever seen, because your brain makes a choice. This isn't useful. Let's release it. Instead, it stores what matters: your loved ones' names, your home address, a meaningful conversation, a skill you use every day. That's the brain doing its job beautifully. And here's the thing: if we remembered everything, it would be chaos. That's actually a real condition called hyper well, hyperthymesia. There's actually a real condition called hyperthymesia, where people remember nearly every detail of their lives. It sounds like a superpower, but for many people who have it, it's overwhelming. Every memory is constantly present, the good and the painful, and they struggle to function because nothing ever fades. So, forgetting isn't a weakness. It's actually part of what keeps us mentally healthy. And it also helps us to forget a lot of the painful things that happened to us early in life. Remember, last week I talked about the inner child and how to protect the inner child. Forgetting is one way of protecting that inner child. It helps us stay here in the now instead of drowning in everything we've ever experienced. And you've probably seen this in your own life. You might remember your childhood phone number, but forget where you put your keys that morning. You might remember a moment that changed your life, but not what you had for lunch on Tuesday. That's not failure. That's your brain prioritizing meaning over detail. Emotional experiences stick because they help us learn. Neural ones fade because they're no longer needed. Forgetting allows us to grow, adapt, and make room for new information. So the next time you forget something small, instead of criticizing yourself, praise and remember your brain is choosing what makes and matters the most and releasing what no longer is needed. That's not dysfunction, that's wisdom. It's your mind doing exactly what it was designed to do. So, why do we forget? Well, there are several major reasons that our mind release information, decay. When we don't use a memory, it fades, just like a muscle that weakens without exercise. Interference. New information sometimes pushes aside old information. Think new phone number. Old number disappears. Retrieval failure. The memory still exists, but just can't access it right now. Like a book in a library that we can't find. Often a cue, a smell, a song, or a place brings it back to us. Motivated forgetting. Sometimes the mind protects us by burying painful or overwhelming memories. This can be conscious or completely unconscious. Distraction or poor encoding. If we weren't fully present when information came in, the memory never really formed. So there's nothing to forget. In all these cases, forgetting is not a defect. It's a natural part of processing life. If we weren't present, the memory never formed. Here's another important truth about forgetting. Sometimes we think that we've forgotten something, but in reality, the memory never fully formed in the first place. Let me explain. For a memory to stick, it has to go through the first step of the memory process, encoding. Encoding simply means paying enough attention to the moment for the brain to register it as important. If we weren't really present when an event happened, if we were distracted, stressed, multitasking, or emotionally checked out, then the brain never saved the information deeply enough and store it long term. So later, when we try to recall it, there's nothing to pull it out. Not because we forgot it, but because the memory never made it into storage. Think of it like trying to open a file in your computer that was never saved. What's happened is the encoding is in the short-term memory. It has to move into the long-term memory. And if you are distracted, it never gets to the long-term memory so that you will remember it. It's not lost. It was never there to begin with. And this happens all the time in daily life. You might walk into a room and think, why am I here? Or you misplace your keys and can't remember where you set them down. It's not that you're forgetful, it's that your attention was somewhere else when it happened. Your brain never tagged that moment as meaningful enough to record. The truth is, our minds are constantly juggling tasks. We check our phones while someone is speaking. We think about our to-do list while driving. We watch TV while answering emails. In these moments, we're physically present, but mentally somewhere else. So the brain says, this doesn't seem important and doesn't bother saving it. This is why mindfulness, simply being where you are, can dramatically improve your memory. When we slow down enough to pay attention, to really take in what we're seeing, hearing, or doing, we give the brain a chance to encode that information. Only then can it be stored and later recorded. Here's a great example. Have you ever been reading a page in a book and suddenly realize you have no idea what you just read? You were looking at the words, your eyes were moving, but your mind was somewhere else. So the information never made it to memory. And it's not forgetting, it's just non-coding. Or think about meeting someone new at a social event. They tell you their name, and moments later, you can't remember it. Why? Because while they were speaking, your mind was busy thinking about what to say next, or how you were being perceived, or who else was in the room, the name never had a chance to stick. So when you notice that we don't remember something, sometimes when, well, when we notice that we don't remember something, sometimes the issue isn't memory loss, it's attention loss. So, when we notice that we don't remember something, sometimes the issue isn't a memory loss, it's an attention loss. The brain requires presence to make a memory. Its present wasn't there. That's truly nothing to remember. This is why practices that cultivate presence, like mindfulness, meditation, journaling, or simply pausing to take in your surroundings, can be very, very powerful. They bring us back into the moment, which is the only place memory can actually begin. So the next time you say, I can't remember what's wrong with me, you might pause and ask instead, was I really there mentally when the moment happened? Because when we aren't present, the memory never forms, and there's nothing to forget. Now, before I go on, what I also want to do is say this, that often we can, psychology and the laws of attraction often talk about being in the present. If you're in the present, that also affects your memory. But if you're not in the present, that is where your memory and forgetfulness sits. So the good side of forgetting, believe it or not, forgetting serves us. Here's how. Emotional protection. Sometimes forgetting spares us pain. Old, embarrassing moments fade. Heartbreak softens and trauma may blur. This isn't weakness. Sometimes it's self-preservation. Reduces overload. If we remembered every detail, every temperament, every meal, every outfit, we would be mentally overloaded. Forgetting keeps life manageable, helps us focus by letting go of relevant information. The brain prioritizes what matters now. It boosts creativity. We forget rigid details and free space for new connections and ideas. Encourage growth. If we held on to every hurt that we would never move forward. Letting go helps us heal and evolve. So forgetting is not always a flaw, it's also a gift, a tool for well-being. The bad side of forgetting. But just like everything, forgetting has a shadow side. Here's when it becomes concerning. Daily functioning declines, constantly misplacing items, missing appointments, forgetting essential tasks. It interrupts life. Memory loss after trauma. Sometimes the trauma blocks large pieces of our lives, protective at first, but painful long term. Stress and burnout. Chronic stress floods the brain with cortisol, weakening memory formation. We can't remember what you never fully processed. Rational damage or relational damage, forgetting commitments, birthdays, promises, conversations that can erode trust, dementia or cognitive decline. And this is a big thing, but this is often when people will either not realize when it's happening or think it's happening when it's not really happening because they don't understand what forgetting is all about. When forgetting worsens and disrupts independence or identity, it signals deeper issues. Forgetting then is like fire, useful when controlled, harmful when not. The key to paying attention to patterns is forgetting occasional and harmless or persistent and disruptive. You're likely noticed that you remember emotional moments vividly, good or bad, while neural events fade. That's because emotion acts like glue. The brain tags these moments as important. You remember your wedding day, your graduation, the birth of a child, or an accident, but you don't remember your breakfast 6 days ago, what you wore last Thursday. Emotion helps determine what stays and what goes. In trauma, the brain may remember too vividly flashbacks or shut down memory altogether to protect us. Better are survival strategies. So, when emotions shape memory, it's the brain doing exactly what it was designed to do. Emotion shapes memory by design. Here's something really important to understand. When emotion shapes memory, it's not random, it's not accidental, it's not your brain doing dramatic. It's your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do. Let's break it down. Human beings are wired for survival, and survival deepens on learning what keeps us safe and what puts us in danger. Emotion is the signal that tells the brain, hey, this matters. Pay attention. So, whoever or whenever something carries emotional weight, whether it's joy, fear, grief, love, or embarrassment. In short, the brain turns up the volume in that moment. It creates a stronger imprint so that you can remember it later. So, why is this important? Because emotional experiences teach us. They help us predict the world, prepare for the future, and learn what to seek or avoid. Think about it. You probably remember where you were when you heard the big news, the feeling of your first love, a moment of deep embarrassment, a time you were scared, a joyful celebration. These memories stick, not because they had more detail, but because they had more emotion. Now, compare that with what you ate last Thursday, the outfit you wore 2 months ago, the drive you took to work last week. Those were neutral. There was nothing emotional to flag them as important, so naturally they faded. This isn't forgetfulness, it's intentional organization. Your brain is constantly asking, will remembering this keep me safe? Will it help me know how to navigate life? If the answer is yes, the memory gets strengthened. If the answer is no, the memory is allowed to dissolve. This is especially clear with trauma. When something intensely frightening or painful happens, the emotional alarm system, the amygdala, kicks in to overdrive. It marks the event as critical to survival. Sometimes this means the memory stays very vivid, like a snapshot burned into the mind. Over time, the brain tries to protect you by distancing you from it, pushing it into the background, or you can continue functioning. Either way, the brain is following the same basic rule. Emotion, importance. Positive emotion works the same way. That's why we often remember the joy of achieving something, a meaningful friendship, a moment of recognition or pride, the birth of a child. These memories are preserved because the brain recognizes that what feels deeply good is also meaningful to survival because connection, bonding, and belonging help us thrive. So, really, emotion doesn't just color memory, emotion decides which memories stay and which ones go. The emotional center of the brain works closely with the memory center, the amygdala, linked with the hippocampus, and together they decide what's worth keeping. It's an elegant partnership. Without it, we'd remember things that don't matter and forget things that do. We'd be overwhelmed with detail, but lacking in wisdom. So the next time you remember something deeply emotional or notice that neutral things don't stick, you can remind yourself, my brain is prioritizing. It's protecting me. It's helping me learn, grow, and survive. Emotion is the brain's highlighter. It tells us what shaped us, what mattered, what helped us understand how the world works. So when emotion shapes memory, it's not a flaw, it's not a glitch. It's the brain doing its job beautifully, keeping the most influential moments close so we can use them to guide our lives. Supporting healthy memory. Here are ways to strengthen memory and reduce harmful forgetting, mindfulness, and presence. Being present helps encode memories more effectively. Repetition, reviewing information, keeps it active. Sleep. Sleep consolidates memories. Without it, they fade. Stress management. Lowering stress protects memory function. Organization tools, calendars, reminders, lists. Use them. They support, not replace your memory. Mental exercise. Learning new things keeps the brain active. Emotional processing, working through trauma rather than avoiding it, helps restore clarity and retrieval. You don't have to do it all. Small, consistent steps matter most. Ways to strengthen memory and reduce harmful forgetting. Now, let's talk about what we can do to support a healthy memory and reduce the kind of forgetfulness that disrupts our lives. The beautiful thing about the brain is that it's not fixed, it's adaptable. It responds to how we live, so the choices we make every day can strengthen our ability to remember. So let's go through the powerful practices. Practice presence and mindfulness. The first step to strengthening memory is simply being there when life is happening. As we mentioned earlier, if you're not fully present, the memory doesn't form. Mindfulness helps you slow down time and tune into your senses and take in the moment deeply enough that the brain says, okay, this matters. Let's save it. This can look like paying attention to conversations instead of multitasking, engaging your senses, sight, sound, smell in daily life, putting your phone down during important moments, taking one slow breath before shifting tasks, presence to what allows memory to begin. When you show up for your life, your brain will slow down and show up for you. Use repetition to reinforce. Memory works through reinforcement. The more often you revisit a piece of information, the deeper it gets embedded. Think of repetition like carving a path through a field. Walk it once. The grass springs back. Walk in multiple times. A trail forms. Repetition can be reviewing notes, repeating someone's name after introduction, practicing a skill regularly, scheduling small refreshers over time. This is why cramming doesn't work. Spacing out repetition strengthens memory much more effectively. Protect your sleep. Sleep is not just rest, it's when the brain organizes memories. During deep sleep, the brain clears out unnecessary information and strengthens useful memories, filing them into long term storage. When we're sleep deprived, new information doesn't get stored well. Old memories become harder to retrieve. Focus and attention drop. So, if you want better memory, you actually need better sleep hygiene, consistent sleep schedule, screen free wind wind down, life and time, cool down in a cool, dark room, avoiding heavy meals and caffeine late in the day. Good sleep is like hitting the save button in your life. Manage stress. When stress is high, memory is one of the first things to suffer. That's because stress floods the brain with cortisol, which interferes with the formation and retrieval of memories. You might notice trouble concentrating, forgetting simple things, feeling mentally foggy. Long-term stress can even shrink areas of the brain responsible for memory. So stress reduction isn't just emotional care, it's cognitive care. This can include deep breathing, meditation, therapies, nature time, gentle movement, time with safe people. A calmer nervous system learns and remembers more easily. Use tools to support your brain. Use your brain, and it doesn't have to remember everything, and it's not supposed to. That's what calendars, reminders, journals, and notes are for. It's smart. External supports free up mental energy so your memory can form on what truly matters. So, use a planner. Set phone reminders. Keep important items in designated places. Make a to-do list. Tools are extensions of your memory, not a replacement, and definitely not a sign of weakness. Keep learning and challenging your brain. The brain grows when we challenge it, learning new things, strengthening neural connections, and even creates new ones. This can be learning a language, playing an instrument, trying a new hobby, reading, doing puzzles, taking a course. It doesn't matter what you learn, only that you keep learning. Your brain is like a muscle. Use it and it strengthens. Neglect it and it weakens. Make your body, or rather, move your body. Physical movement isn't just good for your muscles, it's good for your mind. Exercise boosts blood flow to the brain, delivering oxygen and nutrients that help memory areas function better. Even light movement helps. Walking, stretching, dancing, yoga, moving also reduces stress, which we already know supports memory. So when you move your body, you're also supporting your brain ability to remember. Eat to nourish the brain. Memory is affected by what we feed the brain. A balanced diet supports cognitive health. Omega 3s, salmon, chia, walnuts. Antioxidants, berries, greens. Hydration, healthy fats. While we won't dive deeply into nutrition today, just know that your brain performs better when your body is nourished, food is fuel, and your memory runs on it. When emotional pain is unprocessed, it can interfere with memory. So you need to process emotions and trauma. Sometimes the brain blocks difficult memories to protect us. Other times, emotional overload makes it harder to concentrate or encode new memories at all. Talking through experience with a therapist, journaling, or using support practices helps bring unresolved emotions into awareness. And emotional hardens lighten. Your memory often improves because your brain is no longer stuck in survival mode. All of these practices share one core message. Memory improves when we care for our mind, body, and emotional world because memory isn't just mental, it's physical, emotional, and rational. Small, consistent actions build a brain that feels supported so it can support you in return. And the beauty is, you don't have to master them all. Just choose one or two to start. Over time, the brain benefits compound. The more you nourish your inner world, the more clearly and confidently your mind will serve you. Is forgetting good or bad? The real answer is it depends. Forgetting helps you protect yourself, reduce overwhelm, support creativity, and encourage growth. But when memory loss disrupts daily life or relationships and signals trauma or cognitive decline, it deserves attention. So ask yourself, what kinds of things do I forget most? Does forgetting help me move forward or does it cause harm? What memories might I need to release? Which ones deserve to be held close? If this episode inspired you or helped you understand your mind a little better, please share it with someone who may need it. And leave a review to support the show. And I want to remind you to come back next week. And until then, be gentle with your mind. It's always doing its best to protect you. And